Welcome to TLC, Tend Life Community Podcast, exploring our community, wine, and real estate. Welcome to TLC, where we dive into the heart of our local community, its wineries, business, and real estate. I'm your host, Troy Anderson, along with my co-host, Pamela Forgrave, the Director of Marketing at Tend Home Team, and we're here to bring you a new perspective on what's happening in our community.
I'm excited for this, Troy. This is our inaugural podcast.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Awkward's good. Awkward means it's real, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
I'm
this.
excited.
Okay, so a little overview about what we're doing here with this podcast. As Troy said, it's really about the local community, what's going on here, businesses, and kind of the real estate market. But we want to do things a little differently. Troy has a big passion for wine, and as we have lots of wineries here in the Woodinville area, we thought we'd have our first segment called Sipping on Success, where we give a kind of overview on different wineries and businesses that we like, that we frequent, that we think people should know about. And we're going to start off with one winery in particular. So let's uncork a bottle of wine, Troy, and let's talk about some wine.
Okay, let's do that. We got some wine from Goose Ridge today, and one of my favorites. We're team members. We're not team members. We're club members there, and known Tiffany. I think she's the general manager, and then Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yes, Chelsea is the tasting room manager. Awesome people. So we're pouring their red blend today, which is a club wine that they offered a couple years ago. It is the Canadian Goose 2017 Reserve Red Blend, estate bottled at 63% Merlot, 20% Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Cabernet Sauvignon fill out the rest. And it's one of my favorite blends.
I'm giving it a good sniff here.
Okay,
I'm twirling my glass. So for all you listeners, because you can't see what I'm doing right now, I'm twirling. I'm aerating it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you aerate it, you twist it around, and make sure your pinky's in the air when you do that.
Oh, like I'm drinking my tea?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
The British accent's kind of giving me away, right? Okay. All right. So first of all, before we dig into kind of why Goose Ridge, why this wine, let's talk about why you wanted to talk about wine on a podcast, and then bring in the community and the real estate portion a little bit later on. But where did this passion for wine come from, Troy?
Well, years and years ago, a friend of mine and I used to get together and cook dinner when we were single and didn't have dates. So we get together and we try different wines, kind of led towards, from there we started touring wineries, and then he actually got into wine and made wine for a while.
Oh, okay. So, is this a winery that we're going to hear about later on?
We're going to hear about it later on, yes. I don't want to spoil the story too much.
Okay,
but
don't give any names away then. Let's keep that under wraps for another episode.
Absolutely, for sure. So, and then my wife and I, we enjoy wine. We live pretty close to the Chateau Ste. Michelle there in Woodinville, so we walk the trail, walk down to wineries, and it's just a real fun community. Wine brings happiness to a lot of people. We sit around and chat and drink wine, and
it's definitely a very social thing to do, especially where we are, because of the amount of wineries that we have, and they have the opportunity to sit and chat with people outside when the weather's good. So obviously, like we said, you have a passion for wine, but what our listeners won't know about you yet, people that know you do, is that you actually forayed a little deeper into wine for a little while. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. I got my enology certificate from WSU, Washington State University. Go Cougs!
Google online.
And I made wine for a few years in my garage. Didn't have the correct equipment to keep it cool and stored properly, and then eventually realized after a few years of making wine, it's really hard work, and I enjoy drinking it way more than making it. Although making it is fun. It's I enjoy the chemistry and the different aspects.
I was going to say there's probably some real kind of science behind how these blends come together and how you get the right pour. But so you liked wine so much that you went to WSU, and so for those that don't know what enology is, can you explain that to us just a little bit more, just for those people like me that don't really understand it?
Yeah, it's a big word for winemaking. It's really the chemistry behind winemaking. There's the other half of it, which is viticulture, which is actually how you raise the grapes. Both of those go in or play a huge role in winemaking. So I did the one half.
Okay. And you had a go, and you decided that you like to drink it more than you like to make it.
Correct. Correct.
Well, that's fine. Let's enjoy. Okay, all right. So winery of this month is Goose Ridge. As you mentioned, we've poured a red blend. Why this winery in particular? I know you mentioned Tiffany, who's the general manager at Goose Ridge, and Chelsea, who also works there. And we have actually we've partaken in their wines for some of our client appreciation events because it's they do make good wine. I mean, I'm not really a wine connoisseur, but I enjoy Goose Ridge, Chardonnay usually, but
sorry, not today.
That's okay. I'm good with the red. So let's talk about why this winery in particular for this podcast episode.
Yeah, funny enough, my wife and I stumbled in there, not literally but figuratively, and they I think they were on the Passport back in the day. We had the Passport card, so Goose Ridge, the name in itself didn't really inspire us to go in, but we went in and had their wines, and their wines are so fantastic. But and hadn't heard of them before. This was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. Right.
I think one of the kind of the first to have a tasting room here in Woodinville that was more widely known about, just because of the location.
The location's great. It's right at the Hollywood Schoolhouse area there. I'm not sure if they were one of the first, but there's definitely several in that area that went in the same time.
Right. Okay. So we've got obviously the red blend. So you're a fan particularly of red wine, but they do have a really good assortment of white wines too, is my understanding. Yeah. So have you tried any of those? I know you kind of prefer a red, but let's, for those that maybe don't partake in red and prefer white.
Yeah, we definitely like their Sauvignon Blanc, and their Rosé is always good for a nice summer afternoon back porch drinker. They have a real wide selection of wine. So, some wineries make 3 or 4 different varietals and styles. Goose Ridge has a full gamut. Many different white blends for you to enjoy, and then they probably have 20 different reds, different types of blends and years, and they do the G3, which is more kind of grocery store stuff, and then they do the club wines, which are these ones that we're having here today. So, just a real wide variety of different wines, and they also have vodka and gin.
I know, I was just going to ask you about that. And let's not forget the cider too,
they
because
make
a really great
I forgot about the cider.
Yeah, so if if you haven't tried Goose Ridge and you're not into wine, they do definitely have other options. They have great merchandise in there too, but their ciders, I mean, they have seasonal ones, and I know I've tried the kind of, I think it was the cherry, Marionberries. They're good. They're fruity but not overly sweet. They've got a little bit of tartness. For sure. Yeah, they've got a tartness to them, so which is great. So that was my next question, was kind of talking about you're not a wine lover, so what does that mean for you? But Goose Ridge does have the vodka. Now, have you tried it?
I have, yes. I tried the vodka with soda and lime. I would recommend it.
Okay. Now, what I didn't know about Goose Ridge until I was chatting with Chelsea at an event, one of the ribbon cutting events that we go to as part of the Chamber of Commerce, is that they have an evening where they do a cocktail. They have a specific cocktail.
Oh,
yeah. So we'll need to find out some more details about that and go and find out more, and then we can tell our listeners, kind of what date it's on and what's the premise behind that.
Absolutely, follow up to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the fact that they've diversified in bringing something else to the local area that's not just wine based, because I know everyone thinks, well, Woodinville's great, but all they have is wineries,
right?
And that's not true. I mean, we've got a lot of wineries, we've got a lot of beers and
Spirits,
ciders
yeah.
and spirits. So yeah, so as we kind of go through this podcast series and season 1, season 2, as we keep going, we'll bring some more of those to you. So all right, so let's Troy, you're the expert here, so let's try and describe this wine to our listeners. What can they expect when they open a bottle of this house blend, or red blend, not house? I apologize for that.
Yeah, it's not a house blend. It's I would describe it as a little bit of fruit forwardness, but then it's got enough tannin to dry your palate out. Yeah,
I'm taking a little taste there, and it does dry those kind of triangles on the side of your tongue, but it does have a really, it's kind of light. It's not, it doesn't, it's full bodied, but it's not heavy.
Right.
Does that?
Full bodied, but not heavy.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a huge red wine drinker. I like it, but you describe it better.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, it tastes good. I like, it's got the Merlot based, so they call those left bank Bordeaux style blends. And the Merlot adds a little bit of spiciness to it too, so it has a little bit of that pepper.
I was just going to say, I'm tasting a little bit of pepper there on the end of my tongue, and I've got that kind of warmth at the roof of my mouth.
Yep, that's the alcohol.
Well, I'm glad it's got alcohol in it. Otherwise, I'm feeling like it's not quite what I was waiting for. Okay, so those are good flavors. So for the listeners that like I mentioned before, Troy said there's a huge variety of wines that Goose Ridge actually provide. But if you're somebody that's not, doesn't know much about wines, and you want to start off at a reasonable price point, right? You don't want to spend $50 on a bottle of wine. I personally, and you can disagree with me if you like, the G3 is a good place to start with that. You mentioned, you kind of called it a supermarket wine, only because it is available in some supermarkets, right?
Correct.
But it's not your average kind of bottom shelf, cheaper.
No, not at all.
The flavors of it are really good. I mean, it tastes more expensive than it is.
Correct, and that's why we use it for our client appreciation, because it's still a great bottle of wine. It's just more budget friendly as far as the pocketbook's concerned, for sure. Yeah. But definitely daily drinker, and widely available. So you don't have to go to the winery to get it. You can get it at the supermarket, whereas some of their other wines you have to go to the winery to get them. Yeah. But for someone just getting into wine, definitely Goose Ridge is the place to go. You're going to have, we didn't even talk about these, but they've got their regular label, Merlot, Cabernet.
Right. And then do you have an estate or reserve or?
Yeah, so the stuff we're drinking is the more of the estate or the reserve, but they have their just regular label wines are fantastic, and they're $20 a bottle instead of the $40 or $50, and you don't have to break the bank to have a really, really decent bottle of wine. Yeah.
And more than just the wine is actually the ambiance and the facility itself, where Goose Ridge Tasting Room is in Woodinville. In the summer it's a great place to be because they've got the outdoor patio.
Yeah, we love sunsets there.
Yeah, looking over the fields and whatnot. But also, I mean, I've been in there a number of times, and the space that they have just feels very inviting. It's that kind of sit by the fire with a nice glass of wine feel to it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, okay. What else kind of sets Goose Ridge apart for you?
The people that work there are fun. So yeah, built relationships over the years with them, and they're they're always inviting, and they provide excellent recommendations. If you don't know exactly what kind of wine you like, or you're just exploring options, you think you like this, they'll introduce you to maybe something else that's similar. So yeah, I think their depth of knowledge is good too. I mean, you go to some tasting rooms and it seems like they're just staffed with weekend people that don't know much about wine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they'll put you in the right direction based on what your kind of palate is, right?
For sure.
Good.
For sure.
All right. Well, anything else to add about Goose Ridge and their delicious wines?
No, it's a great stop. And if you're coming out wine tasting to Woodinville, or if you live in the area and haven't tried them yet, definitely worth a stop.
And just remember that if wine isn't your deal, they do have vodka and gin and cider. So even if somebody says to you, let's go wine tasting, and it's not your deal, they'll have something for you. You can still go as part of a group or by yourselves and
I
have a
think
good
I
time.
heard they might have bourbon or something like that coming. So
Oh, really?
maybe I'm misspeaking, but
Oh, well, maybe we'll have to get Tiffany, the general manager from Goose Ridge, in here on the podcast and kind of find out more about what's coming to Goose Ridge. And
accurately represent them.
Yes, exactly. And they have tasting rooms not just here, but they have them in Richland, Leavenworth.
Yep.
Where else?
Richland is their main winery facility where they have where they grow the grapes, and then there's Walla Walla, and we always visit the one in Leavenworth when we go over there.
Yeah, they've got the market cornered a little bit, haven't they, in this area, which is great. But I'm glad that they're here in Woodinville. So, okay, we're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about our real estate roundup. So, join us in just a moment.
Hey there, homeowners and home buyers. If you're looking for a real estate team who genuinely cares about your needs, Tend Home Team is here for you. We're not just focused on making sales, but on building long-term relationships with our clients and serving our wonderful community. Whether you're buying or selling, let us guide you through the process and help you achieve your real estate goals. Connect with Tend Home Team today and discover a better way to navigate the market.
Welcome back to TLC, Tend Life Community, your podcast exploring our community, wine and real estate. Before the break, we were talking about Goose Ridge wine. And in our second segment, we are going to go in with our real estate roundup because that's what we do for a living. So, all right. As this is our first show, our first podcast for TLC, let's kind of lay out what we're going to do for our listeners here. The second segment of our show is going to be a little bit more real estate based because that's what we do. Discussions on kind of the local market, current trends, conditions. And when we were planning out this show, we originally thought that we were going to talk about 2022. A review of what happened in real estate, specifically in our area. But some things have happened, and we figured that we wanted to talk about something a little bit different to kick us off. And we're going to talk about the Woodinville Action Plan. And I'm going to kick this over to Troy because he's the expert in the room on this. What is this housing action plan that the Woodinville Council are talking about? And just as a kind of point to note, they're asking for community input on this. So let's figure out what it is first and then kind of go from there. So yeah, what is it, Troy?
So it's what they call missing middle housing. It's where they try and create affordable housing options for people in the middle, basically, that aren't that don't need subsidies per se, but I mean the median price here in Woodinville is higher than a lot of people can afford. They did a study. The city actually did a study that nearly 100% of the workers who work in Woodinville don't live in Woodinville.
Right, because of affordability.
Because of affordability, they commute from somewhere else.
Well, I have to admit, and that's a good point. I mean, you have kids, I have kids, and it's something that I kind of struggle with sometimes. Woodinville is a fantastic place to be. It's a fantastic place to live. It's a fantastic place to bring up a family if you so choose to. But housing is expensive, and I worry about how our kids are going to afford to be able to live here if they want to stay. So the fact that the council is really taking this on board, I think is a great thing. I mean, yeah, can our kids afford to be here?
Who knows? I mean, I should hope so. But so the Housing Action Plan, or the HAP is what they call it. You can Google that along with the word Woodinville, and it should come up. They're taking public comment until the 16th of March on that, and I haven't taken my survey yet, but I plan to definitely provide our input on being in the market and knowing firsthand just from an affordability standpoint, getting into Woodinville, there's very few options. You've got some condos in the downtown core, but other than that, it's really single-family housing all over. The west side has some attached townhome style projects over there that are more affordable, but we definitely need to encourage developers to come in and create that kind of housing. And a lot of people don't like to hear this, but it comes down to density. And so you moved to Woodinville because you wanted your space, you wanted your elbow room, and some areas it's just not going to be feasible to have affordable housing because there's no things like sewer, things like that need to be in place, the infrastructure that needs to be in place to have an upzoned or a higher density zoning to where you can build, more affordable housing.
Right. So basically the plan for this housing action plan then is to incentivize developers to move forward with more, not just middle missing properties, but low income as well.
Yeah, there are some low-income projects that are, there's one that's underway right now, the East Rail project that just got permitted. That's the old Mexican restaurant was there. What else was there? Gobble was there.
Gift Horse.
Gift Horse, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Bank's right there. So that road's going to get punched all the way through, so that might relieve some traffic congestion as well in that area. Over to the road that goes by the post office.
I don't remember what that one's called either. I know it well, but I don't know the
Travel it almost daily.
Yeah.
But and then there's going to be some affordable housing or affordable housing in there, and I just forgot the name of it, but it's basically subsidized by the King County, and so you have to be within a certain demographic to be able to purchase those.
Oh, okay. So making it more accessible for those that potentially couldn't afford to live here, even
Correct.
though they work here. That's good. I mean, I think Woodinville does a good job of trying to move our area forward, making it more accessible for everybody. So that's a good thing. But so they want comment from the public. What do they want to know from the public? Do we know what it is they're asking, or you not know that until kind of come to the survey?
I haven't done the survey yet. I probably should have done the survey before we did this podcast, but
okay. Well, this is supposed to be
kind of
informational.
last minute, yeah.
We made a switch real quick.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, there you have it though. So if you're interested in how we're going to move forward with homes for people in the area, definitely go and check that out and fill in the survey and find out what it is the council want to know from you, because the more input that you have, the more say you have in what goes on in our city. So yeah, all right. So reminder on that one, you can comment on this up to March 16th. So go ahead and do that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we'll have a link on our information here on the podcast to that site.
All right. So in the last few minutes, let's do some tips and advice for people that are in or thinking of getting into the home buying or home selling market. Some tips. Should a buyer find their lender or their real estate person first? Yeah,
the chicken or the egg, what came first?
Mm-hmm.
In an ideal world, they should talk to a lender first, actually.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because, well, you want to know, how much you want to spend. Not necessarily, you can spend a certain amount, but how much you want to spend is a different story.
I guess it's like, do you want to be house poor, right?
Yeah. You want to get a payment. If you're borrowing money, you want to get a payment that's going to be manageable for you and your household budget, and still be able to live and go out to wineries and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eat, feed the kids.
Yeah.
Plug them.
Yeah. And so they in this article I was reading in the Woodinville Weekly about the housing action plan, they were saying that about 34% of income goes to housing in people who live in Woodinville, and sometimes up to 50%.
Yeah, I was reading that too. It's kind of shocking, isn't it, when you think about it? Yeah, and that's where that phrase "house poor" comes from, right? Where you can afford the house, but can you afford to do anything else other than sit there? That's no fun.
I think my parents told me they had blow up furniture in their first house.
Oh, really?
They bought pool furniture.
Hey, at least they had furniture. They weren't sitting on the floor, right?
Yeah.
You can make pool furniture look good.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
By the pool.
Needs must, right? That's an interesting statistic then, that 34% goes to housing.
Yeah, and I think that's the average of the people who live in Woodinville. 34% of their income does go to their housing expense, and some people upwards of 50 to 60%. I was reading, and that was in the Woodinville Weekly. But meeting with a lender first really gets your, you can run scenarios. I like to say there's just as many loans as there are houses available, which may or may not be true, but there are so many different loan products out there for people to look at. You've got the vanilla, just basic 30-year fixed with 20% down, conforming loan, but there's also lower down payments. There's renovation loans where you could buy a house that might need some renovation, get some money to do that, so you incorporate that into your down payment. So there's all kinds of options out there. So meeting with a lender and a realtor, they kind of go hand in hand, but getting your lending in order is definitely the first or second step for sure.
Well, going on what you just said, finding out what products are available first actually will help you come up with a game plan of what you're actually looking for.
Yeah, or even knowing that there's options out there. You might be looking at houses and say, hey, I don't want to fix anything because I've only got a limited amount of down payment and I'm not going to have any money to be able to do those repairs. Whereas, you might be able to get into a renovation loan where you can do that and make the house exactly what you want, because more often than not, you're going to have to compromise on something when you're purchasing a house. You're not going to find the perfect. I know nobody wants to hear that they have to compromise on something, but experience tells us that you always have to compromise on something. I think when my husband and I bought our house, it was sit down and write a list of wants and needs. Yeah. And the needs come first, and then the wants are whatever you can afford to do afterwards, right? Correct. Yeah. So your lender will help you figure all of that out too by kind of what your level is from here to here. And a good real estate agent is going to point you in the right direction and know approximately how much things cost, so you're not going to get in over your head. Right. Should you buy something that needs repair? Oh, good stuff. Yeah, so we've got great lender partners who we partner with. We're happy to push them your way to be able to strategize and come up with a plan for you. Yeah, there's never any, you have to do this. It's just all of them really are happy to kind of sit and have a chat before you move forward. Absolutely, no obligation. It just costs a little bit of time, and you're definitely usually better off afterwards. Yeah, I think when you're making such a big purchase, you really want to take the time to find the right people for the job. For sure, for sure. Interview them. Interview them. Yeah, they're not interviewing you. You want to make sure you're interviewing them. Correct. All right, well, that's our show for right now. So just to recap what we talked about today, Goose Ridge Winery. So here's cheers to Goose Ridge. We're enjoying this glass of wine. Felt like we talk about wine more than real estate. That's okay. That's the fun stuff, right? But it's all fun, but the wine is the passion project, right? Yeah. So yeah, we can add more real estate in next time. So listeners, if you feel like you want to hear more real estate, then let us know. But yeah, that's really it. So wine, Goose Ridge, go check them out. They've got plenty to choose from. Sneak peek at what's coming next time. On next episode of TLC, we will be talking about barrage sellers. Yes, another one of my favorites. Yep, and then tips for selecting a buyer's agent. Oh, fun. Yeah, I'm telling Troy what we're going to be doing. Yes, let's do it. All right, well, that's it on TLC for this time. We will see you, next time around. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hey there, homeowners and home buyers. If you're looking for a real estate team who genuinely cares about your needs, 10 Home Team is here for you. We're not just focused on making sales, but on building long-term relationships with our clients and serving our wonderful community. Whether you're buying or selling, let us guide you through the process and help you achieve your real estate goals. Connect with 10 Home Team today and discover a better way to navigate the market.